First of all, I've got to apologise for the cicadas. There's nothing much I can do about it. You're just going to have to put up with it. Such is the Australian bush. Triton comes with several body shapes. One of them just has the ladder back. Remember, this is set on a ladder chassis because that's a little bit sturdier for carrying really big loads. And on the back of that, you can put just a plain old tray. It can be a flat back, or you can attach some of those boxes. Then we get into the models that actually have tray backs, like this one, the GLX+. You can get a slightly shorter version with concealed suicide doors, and this one which has the full 4 doors. Carrying capacity is about 975 kilos, and you can tow up to 3,100 kilos. The front has a kind of quite a complex look going on with these like slit lights. These are halogen, but the top models get LED. Around the back you get the high set stoplight and the reversing camera, and believe me, that makes driving these things so much easier. They've all got LED tail lights. There's a nice big cargo area, and just here inside are the 6 tie downs. Now there's nothing on the outside, so that means that when you put a tarp over this to keep everything dry, water's still going to get down the side. So I'm not quite sure how you'd attach a tarp to the whole thing. You might have to get some kind of hard tonneau cover. There's a ton of room in the back. The head height's quite low. There's some side steps and a fairly simple door setup, but the plastics are quite hard. There's plenty of room in the back. There's some map carrying pockets and a little hidey hole. And in a touch of poshness, there's even cup holders in the fold down armrest. Seat fabric is this fairly industrial looking, hard wearing synthetic fabric. And in a nod to this car's industrial and commercial roots, they've all got this vinyl cover, and there's floor mats, so you can just take this whole thing out and put mud and so forth straight onto the ground instead of into your garage. The seating position is fairly comfortable, and the door cards are a fairly simple affair. There's traction control off, lane departure warning and forward collision alert, and the mirror adjustment buttons are also on the dash. That's a blank for the upper models, which have smart start and keyless entry. This one requires a key. Dashboard is fairly simple, and there's a nice big full colour readout in the middle, but it doesn't have a speedo. Centre console has a padded armrest bin, a couple of cup holders, and the high-low selection button for the 4-wheel drive. There's a 6-speed automatic and buttons for diff lock and to turn the parking sensors off. If you're out in the bush, you're going to want to do that because it'll drive you potty. There's an 8-inch full colour screen and single zone climate control. Once on the move, it becomes fairly obvious that this is a commercial vehicle. The engine is fairly torquey. With all those Newton meters comes a lot of pulling force. And you're going to spend most of your time probably in town. But grey nomads could cart their caravans, God forbid, because the diesel engine is reasonably economical. There is a base model petrol grade with a 5-speed manual, but I'm not quite sure that's up to the task. It's got 93 kilowatts, and I just, that might suit a painter, for example, that wants to put nothing more than a couple of cans, and it only comes with that ladder chassis, so you've got to get a tray for it from somewhere. This one, however, is not completely bereft of comfort. The air conditioning, which we've got on now, is incredibly efficient. There's an automatic mode, set and forget. Also, the steering wheel buttons, nice and easily laid out. And there's speed limit and cruise control. You can also hook your phone up. If you just want to use Bluetooth, that's okay. But if you've got a cable, as I have, you can use Apple CarPlay. So now I've got the map up, and that's the map on my phone, by the way. The music is going through the cable, and I can also use that with voice control. So that means completely hands-free. I can answer messages, do my music. In fact, I can even say, "Hey Siri, take me home," and it will.
I don't know your home address.
You do know my home address, stop it. She's very, very pushy. But this car doesn't have navigation built in, so it relies solely on the navigation that's on your phone. And that works well around town and for most of the country travelling that you'll do, but I do worry about off-road. Presumably it means that you'd have to get one of those non-data assisted apps for your phone and manage your off-road stuff. And you can go some quite exotic locations in your plucky little Triton. Not that we went there, but here's some footage we prepared earlier. Now, earlier in the week, we were out on some lovely country lanes. And the one thing that I discovered that is, and it's the same with all of these light commercial vehicles, all of these pickup trucks, that the back end without anything in it is very, very tail happy. And we're on this quite narrow, very windy bitumen road that got a little bit greasied up by a spot of light rain. And that really made things lively, but it was still a great deal of fun to drive. The steering, no, because it's got these great big wheels, these great big tyres. Well, the wheels aren't all that big, but the tyres certainly are. You find yourself, the steering is, I don't know, approximate, but that's common to all of these type of cars. There's a SUV version of Triton, and it has different rear suspension. It's not required to carry those big heavy loads that this thing is going to be carrying. And it has a different suspension setup. The really amazing thing is this has drum brakes at the rear. Drum brakes. I mean, they had those on Model T Fords. But remember, this thing starts at $22,490, and that is cheap by anyone's language. So if you just wanted a sturdy vehicle that you can throw a tray of your choice on, you can't do much better than that. And if you're just going to be puttering around town, you don't need much else. But if you're going to do off-roading, you'd need to get one of these proper four-wheel drives. You can change from high range to low range on the fly. You can change from two-wheel to four-wheel drive on the fly, up to 100 kilometers an hour. But like most of these vehicles with this four-wheel drive system, you can't use that system on the tarmac, only on loose road, gravel or dirt or sand or whatever. But you can have a great deal of fun in sand, like this. But for the rest of us that aren't lucky enough to get off the road, you're going to be quite happy. Now, when you compare how this drives to how other pickup trucks drive, my favourite is still probably VW's Amarok. I also like the looks of it too. The looks of Triton, I think, are a little bit confronting. There's not very much you can do with a pickup style of vehicle. So really the only thing you can fiddle with is the front. From the A-pillar back, it's much of a muchness. I think Mitsubishi have done a really good job. They've got this 2.4 litre diesel that does everything that you want it to do relatively economically. And the thing about the engine is at 80 kilometers an hour, this is barely ticking along at 1500 revs. I think that's just extraordinary. But as you get closer into this city, there are a few things that you really do appreciate. First of all, the seating position. You're very high and you sit way over the rest of the traffic. Although, now that more than 50% of the vehicles sold are either SUVs or pickup trucks and LCVs like this, you're not as far above the rest of the traffic as you used to be. The other thing is the touchscreen. This is an 8-inch touchscreen on the GLX models and up, and all of the controls are software controls, so there's no actual buttons. There are some permanent buttons around the screen, but again, they're all software buttons. But the system is very quick to respond, and you can switch between functions really easily. There's auto lights and wipers, but no high beam assist, at least not on the GLX Plus. And now that we're at slower speeds, 70, you can really feel the bumps. It's not that it's rough, it's just that you get tossed around a bit by that very stiff suspension. With no load on, you put your foot down, and once the turbos kick in, Triton is actually very good at what it does. It does what it says on the box. It's got a lot of the latest mod cons. Some of the safety things it's missing out, so there's no blind spot monitoring. But that's okay, and I'm pretty sure you could live without that. The cabin feels reasonably well laid out. It's basic, but it's all there and present and accounted for. And the hard-wearing plastics in a commercial vehicle are going to stand the test of time. It'll take tradies and surfboards and God knows what. Something that softer surfaces might not. But the people that are going to buy this are buying it for a very specific reason. And remember, LCVs, these pickup trucks, are the top selling cars in the country. Of the top 10, 3 are pickup trucks. Of the top 20, 15 are either pickup trucks or SUVs. There's only one family sedan, and that's Camry. The others are either small family sedans or small family hatches. And even they're going by the wayside. So, looks like this is your lot. And speaking of your lot, this is your lot for the week. As always, if you've liked the video, hit the like button. More importantly, hit the subscribe button just there. There, the subscribe button, just hit it. Till next time, see you later.